Good evening. My name is Melanie Grunwell, and tonight I'd like to talk to you about Adopt American Babies. What do Steve Jobs, Faith Hill, Dave Thomas, John Lennon, and Jesse Jackson have in common? The answer is they were all adopted. Now, obviously, we're talking about adopting American babies, and John Lennon is not of American descent, but he was adopted domestically in his own country. So that stands to reason. What is the benefit of adopting American? And while we can all agree that adoption is honorable and an admirable endeavor, regardless of nationality source, it is to be respected, and the stigma is greatly reduced in today's age, thankfully, due to a greater openness to diversity and the acceptance rate for families that include multicultural descent is not looked down on like it was in the past. But there are benefits that I'd like to talk about tonight, and why I think domestic adoption is something we need to closely consider when evaluating if we want to proceed in this nature. Some of the things I'd like to talk to you tonight about are that many kids in today's overburdened foster care need good homes, and they struggle under an overburdened system. Also, there are struggles between children and families from different cultures that complicate the healing process after the adoption. And also, there are myths that perpetuate families choosing international adoption over domestic that just simply are not true. Can you imagine spending tens of thousands of dollars in hopes to love a child, go through the trauma of not being able to have your own child or anything like that, to finally have a baby in your home that you can't speak the same language of, you can't communicate love to, or they were so traumatized in their home country through harsh circumstances that they're unwilling to receive love or be loved or even feel safe in your own home, regardless of what you've gone through. I have friends who've adopted internationally, and they're good people. They provide loving, stable homes, and both families adopted boys from Russian orphanages and have experienced the same situation in both areas. One family adopted two brothers from a Russian orphanage, and another adopted one, and they had their own child as well at home. So they don't know one another, and it was very interesting to me to hear the similarities of struggles that they faced. The Russian orphanages that the boys came from did not believe in holding babies, so the babies would cry, and eventually they would stop crying because their needs were not met on an emotional level. And so these boys experienced a severe level of trauma before they even got to be 6 months old. Therefore, later, after my friends Tara and my other friend Sue adopted the boys, they got them home, and the boys are first of all, they don't speak the native language, and so they grow up in a home where there's already a language barrier. And second of all, they have to have intense counseling just to even function on the slightest levels. These boys have anger issues and a lot of trauma that's added to an already very stressful and sad process. And so it's made it a very bittersweet thing where Tara and Sue feel very fulfilled that they're able to provide a loving home, but struggle with the implications that it causes for their families. According to adoptuskids.org, there is tax credits that are available to families that would like to provide homes for American families for American babies. So a lot of the expense that you hear about with domestic adoptions can be remedied and relieved by some of these tax credits. And also there is a lot of support financially for families that would like to adopt domestically. The other benefit to adopting domestically is that you have a lot more say in what you'd like to receive in your home, the age, the race, the gender, and your available information on that child regarding their medical history and their social history and their family of origin is a lot more understood, which provides a lot of benefit moving forward if you ever needed to know any of that. And the last thing I'd like to talk to you today about is that the myth of families that lose custody to a biological family after the adoption is finalized is it's rare, and it's usually a result of negligent legal practice. So, for instance, if the family goes through the process of adoption according to childwelfare.gov, that biological parent actually terminates their parental rights to the child. And so there are obviously varying degrees of openness that are determined during the adoption process, but those are documented legally and enforceable in a court of law. And so it's rare that you would ever have that in today's courts upheld in lieu of the biological parent over the adoptive family rights. And so today I'd just like to thank you so much for listening to what I have to say. And as we join together to provide a loving home for American babies, I would just like to encourage you to take advantage of this day and age with less stigma toward adoption and greater openness to diversity and multicultural families so that we can help American babies thrive. Thank you.